Let me start with a simple question. Have you noticed something strange about your electricity bill lately? You didn't buy new appliances, you didn't blast the AC all day, you might have even cut back. And yet, the bill went up. Not just once, month after month. At first, you tell yourself it's normal. Prices go up, that's life. But then you start paying closer attention. You remember a time when using less actually meant paying less, when effort felt rewarded. Now it doesn't. And that's where the frustration starts. Because electricity isn't optional, it's not a luxury, you can't unsubscribe from it. So when the bill rises without a clear reason, it hits differently than most expenses. It doesn't feel like inflation. It feels unfair. Most people respond in one of two ways. Some blame themselves. I must be doing something wrong. Others blame the system. This whole thing must be broken. But both reactions miss the real explanation. Because this isn't about discipline, and it's not about greed either. It's about how electricity is priced and why that pricing model quietly stopped working the way people expect. And that's what this channel is about. I'm Evan, and I explained everyday money systems that affect your life, without shouting, without hype, and without pretending there are easy answers. So today, we're going to break down why your electricity bill keeps rising even when you're using less power. If you've ever looked at your bill and thought, this doesn't make sense anymore, you're not imagining things. Let's explain it. Before we go any further, I want to be clear about what this video will and won't do. This isn't a video about saving a few dollars next month, and it's not about blaming anyone. It's about understanding why your electricity bill behaves the way it does, even when you're careful. By the end of this video, you'll understand three things. First, why electricity pricing stopped responding to individual effort the way people expect. Second, where the biggest pressures on the system actually come from, the ones that quietly show up on your bill. And third, how to think about your energy costs without frustration, guilt, or false hope. I'm not going to give you shortcuts, and I'm not going to pretend there's an easy fix. What I will give you is a clearer mental model. Because once you understand the structure, you stop chasing the wrong solutions and start making calmer decisions. If your bill has ever made you feel confused or like the math just doesn't work anymore, this video is for you. Let's break it down. Most people believe one simple rule. If I use less, I'll pay less. That logic works for groceries, it works for gas, it works for almost everything else. But electricity doesn't work that way. Because electricity isn't sold like a product, it's sold like access. You're not just paying for energy, you're paying for wires, poles, transformers, power plants, backup systems, maintenance crews, and emergency repairs. Most of those costs don't change based on your usage. So even if you cut consumption, the system still needs the same money to stay alive. Here's the core issue most people never hear explained. Electricity pricing is built around fixed costs, not flexibility. Think of it like this. Imagine an elevator in your apartment building. Whether one person uses it or everyone uses it, the building still has to maintain it, inspect it, repair it, power it, replace it eventually. Electricity works the same way. Your bill is not just paying for what you used this month. It's paying for decades of infrastructure, plus future upgrades. So when costs go up anywhere in that chain, your bill reflects it, even if your usage goes down. Let's break the bill into three invisible layers. Infrastructure layer. Most power grids were built decades ago. Old systems are less efficient, more expensive to repair, and vulnerable to weather. Replacing them doesn't come cheap. Those upgrade costs, they don't show up as a separate charge. They're quietly added to your monthly bill. Risk and reliability layer. Electricity is one of the few services that must work 24/7, even if there's a storm, demand spikes, or equipment fails. That means utilities must overbuild capacity, maintain backups, and pay readiness costs. You're paying for power you might never use, just so it's there when you need it. Demand pressure layer. Electricity demand isn't shrinking. Behind the scenes, data centers, cloud services, AI infrastructure, and industrial systems, all of them draw massive, constant energy. Utilities respond by upgrading systems. And again, those costs don't go to businesses alone. They flow across the grid, to everyone, including you. For years, we were told a simple story. If you want lower bills, you need to be more efficient. Buy better appliances, turn things off, use less. And for a long time, that story made sense, because electricity bills used to be closely tied to how much power you actually used. But slowly, that connection started breaking, and most people never noticed it happening. Here's the problem. Efficiency reduces consumption, but your bill is mostly built around ownership of the system. You're not just paying for energy. You're paying for access. Access to a grid that has to be always ready, overbuilt for peak demand, maintained even when no one is using it. Those costs don't shrink when you save electricity. They stay, they grow, and they get redistributed. So when you upgrade to efficient appliances, what really happens? Your personal usage goes down, but the system's costs remain. And in many cases, those costs get spread across fewer total kilowatt hours, which means the price per unit goes up. Not because efficiency failed, but because it changed the math. This is why efficiency feels unrewarding. You do the right thing, but the savings get absorbed somewhere else. Not stolen, not hidden, just diluted. And from the household perspective, that feels pointless, almost insulting. There's also a psychological layer to this. When effort doesn't lead to visible results, people disconnect. They stop optimizing. They stop caring. They assume nothing they do matters. But the system was never designed to emotionally reward individual efficiency. It was designed to stay stable, no matter what households do. Efficiency still helps. It reduces strain. It lowers long-term risk. It supports reliability. But it no longer guarantees a cheaper month-to-month bill. And once you understand that, the frustration starts making sense. You weren't misled. The rules just changed quietly, without anyone explaining them. When your electricity bill stops making sense, something subtle happens. You don't just get confused, you start doubting yourself. You replay your habits in your head. You second-guess every light, every appliance, every decision. Not because you actually did something wrong, but because the feedback loop is broken. Effort no longer produces a clear result. At first, most people respond by trying harder. They over-optimize. They stress about small decisions. They chase tiny savings hoping something will finally stick. And when it doesn't, that effort turns into frustration. That frustration creates a dangerous mental shift. People stop thinking in systems and start thinking in blame. Some blame themselves. Others blame the companies. But both reactions lead to the same outcome: giving up. When you feel like nothing you do matters, you stop engaging altogether. This is where bad decisions quietly form. Not because people are careless, but because they feel powerless. They think, if it's going up anyway, why bother? So they stop paying attention. They accept higher costs as fate. They let resentment replace understanding. And that reaction makes sense emotionally. Humans need feedback. We need to see that our actions connect to results. When that connection disappears, motivation collapses. Here's the important part. This psychological trap isn't an accident. It's a side effect of a system designed for reliability, not clarity. The grid doesn't explain itself. The bill doesn't show the full story. The costs are abstract. And when systems don't communicate clearly, people assume the worst. Understanding this doesn't magically lower your bill, but it does something more important. It gives you back agency. When you stop blaming yourself and stop reacting emotionally, you can make calmer, smarter decisions. Not perfect ones, just grounded ones. After hearing all of this, a natural question comes up. What am I supposed to do then? And this is where most advice goes wrong. Because the truth is, there's no single trick that fixes a system-level problem. But there are ways to respond without making things worse. The first thing that actually helps is changing what you expect from effort. Saving electricity is no longer about winning month to month. It's about slowing long-term pressure, lower strain, fewer surprises, more predictability. That mindset shift alone removes a lot of frustration. Second, understanding how your bill is structured matters more than reducing usage blindly. Not every kilowatt hour costs the same. Timing, peak pricing, fixed fees, these things now matter more than perfection. Using power intentionally beats using power less. Third, planning beats reacting. When costs feel uncontrollable, people either panic or disengage. Both lead to bad outcomes. But when you expect volatility, you stop being surprised by it. You budget for it. You smooth it. You treat it like a fixed obligation, not a personal failure. Fourth, avoid emotional decisions. Extreme cutbacks, overcorrection, impulse spending in other areas to compensate. Those reactions cost more than they save. Clarity beats control, every time. And finally, zoom out. Electricity is one part of a larger cost structure. It's not meant to be optimized in isolation. Trying to micromanage one bill often pulls attention away from decisions that actually move your financial life forward. None of this lowers your bill tomorrow, but it does something better. It keeps you from fighting the wrong battle. And that alone is progress. This video wasn't about blaming energy companies, and it wasn't about blaming you. It was about understanding the structure. Because when you understand the structure, you stop feeling confused and start feeling grounded. Your rising bill doesn't mean you failed. It means the system changed. And once you see the equation, you stop chasing quick fixes and start making better decisions. My name is Evan, and this channel exists to explain the rules you were never taught. If this video helped you understand your life a little better, consider subscribing. We're just getting started.